Thank you everyone for joining in and welcome to this webinar, AI in Financial Services by AlphaBold. Before I get to introductions, just a quick one. This AI, this is a buzz going around and I'm sure everyone wonders whether it's for real. Is it just a hype? Is it just a buzz created by us tech buffs? Or is it really going to take over our jobs? Well, the joke going around around AI in financial services is it's not going to replace you, but it is certainly going to replace the 47 extra tabs in Excel, which you don't need anyway. So what we're going to do here today is absolutely get beyond that fluff and get into what it really means to use AI in financial services, which can give real results and go beyond all the buzz there is. This will take me to our introductions. Right. So just quickly, this is me, Taimur. I'm the sales manager here at AlphaBold. I'll be one of your presenters. I've had almost 15 years in B2B sales. I'm a tech enthusiast. But our main presenter, who's our technology consultant, VP Consulting, is Mr. Tayyab Ali. He's had over 15 years experience in consulting, but more importantly, he has a master's in AI and he's been delivering AI solutions for over 8 years, which is way longer than this AI buzz came around. So he's really good at differentiating between all that fluff and around AI and real tangible deliverables, what work for businesses. I think we can all agree that at the very least, AI is here to stay. And while it may not be taking our jobs straight away, it's definitely the professionals and the businesses that adopt it, the sooner they'll be the ones who will be ahead. And that's exactly what we'll be covering today. With this, we'll just move to a quick intro to our company, and I'll pass this on to Tayyab.
Thank you so much, Taimur. Welcome everyone to this webinar. Thank you so much for joining. I promise you I won't spend too much time on our intro. We'll just jump right into the use cases that we have automated for many of our customers and we want to showcase to all of you. But very quickly, AlphaBold is a consulting company. We have some industry focuses, but we also go horizontally across almost any industry, specifically from the automation perspective. From the industry focus perspective, we do AEC, financial services, and manufacturing. We also implement ERP systems, and that has helped us a lot because we have a very intrinsic and detailed understanding of financial processes and how they are implemented onto the accounting system and the ERP systems like NetSuite, Business Central, QuickBooks, F&O on the Microsoft Dynamics side of things. So we leverage that experience as we talk about automation using AI. These are our core values. I won't bore you with these right now, but if you are interested in working with us, know that they're very important to us. We evaluate, hire, and retain people based on these. These are all the services that we offer. I want to specifically talk about the top row, which is everything that we do. So you can see we have ERP implementations, we do Dynamics, we do Salesforce, we do data engineering and analytics. And most importantly, from today's webinar perspective, we do AI. The last row is important because that is our methodology. It's called Bold Route. We have a variant of that methodology for AI. So why I'm highlighting that is only because I want you guys to understand that AI doesn't necessarily follow the traditional SDLC model. We have a tailored, specific to artificial intelligence methodology that we know is very helpful in implementing, and we'll talk more about that after the use cases. I also want to highlight here that we are not just a technology consulting firm, we are a management consulting. The reason I want to highlight that is because it helps us understand a business problem. So for example, what we are trying to automate and how to bring in AI from the perspective of achieving that automation. Now, this is very, very similar to what we used to do in the past as well. So for us, AI is just an additional tool that can help us achieve and solves the problems that we could not previously solve without AI. And that's how we approach AI. So we have a more consultative approach where we try to understand the problem and see what aspects we could not really automate previously. And now with AI, we can. And with that, what I want to do is I want to just talk about solutions and show you some demonstrations of the AI solutions that we have built over the years. I just want to also highlight, feel free to ask questions in the Q&A section. We'll probably take those questions towards the end of the webinar, but as you go and see some of these demonstrations, you might have ideas or questions that come to your mind. So please feel free to type them in, and we'll be more than happy to take all those questions later. So the first solution I want to talk about is our agent that we refer to as Bold Parser. The reason why we refer to that Bold Parser is that it allows us to be able to parse an email or document, an image, a PDF. And I know these things mean nothing to you, but they translate into an invoice or a PO or a bank statement. So as far as this agent is concerned, it just looks at it from the context of how can I extract information from this document? And then it is trained on whether to treat it as an invoice or a bank statement or a PO or a claim, insurance claim. And then it can process that, it can extract all of that information, and it can incorporate that into any ERP system. So it integrates with many ERP systems. When we have been working with as consultants with different partner organizations across financial services, construction, manufacturing, and other industries, we feel that invoices specifically, they come in different formats. Sometimes they're recurring and some are very straightforward with very simple and easy to extract format, but they could have varying tax structures, they could have different approval processes, they could have different details from the PO numbers perspective, and they're not always placed consistently. And that's where AI is the biggest differentiator. Leveraging AI, we really don't have to worry about those intricacies and minute details, and AI can handle those for us. So through our experience working with a lot of ERP system implementations and Microsoft technologies, we have found a way where we can review and validate all of these processes into the systems. And that's what I'm going to show you as the first demonstration here. I'll be leveraging the Bold Parser AI agent specifically to showcase to you the invoice processing. So with that, I'm going to jump on to my first demo. Tamu, there's a little bit of background noise from your side, so if you could go on mute.
Sure.
Okay. So while I just send you on mute, I do have a question for you. I'm assuming you can see my screen, Tamu, when I open up this document processor.
Yes, absolutely fine, Tayyip. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. All right, so let me show you an example of an invoice that I want to use here. So just give me 1 second. I'll open it up. So you can see this invoice is from Relia Parts Manufacturing Company, RPM, as we refer to them. The customer is AlphaBold. And this invoice comes into the account payable side for AlphaBold. And this is already processed. And if I show you on the back end, the ERP system here, which for the sake of this demonstration, it is integrated with NetSuite. So if I open up this invoice here, take a second probably. I have to refresh it as well. You can see that it is from Relia Parts Manufacturing, 8605 is the total. So the AI agent already is an amazing agent that it picks up this invoice from the account payable inbox, it processes it, and it integrates it with your ERP system, and it is just pending approval. So any time that your AP team spends receiving, downloading, putting it in maybe SharePoint or some folder location, this agent can do all of those things, and you can see that it's working and it's integrating. Now, obviously, if I just tell you this, you haven't seen any of the AI, so you won't believe me. You would probably think that it's black magic or I'm making it up. So what we wanted to do for this webinar was to show you how AI processes it. And the way we go about this is super important. So I'll take a minute to explain this to you. We can have AI automate processes end to end, but that's not always the best way of looking at how to achieve automation through AI, especially in the initial phases of as you're onboarding AI solutions onto your organization. So what's a better way is to what we refer to as man in the middle AI, where AI is automating the tasks that take the most amount of time from process A, from point A to point Z in a certain process. And then you still have that accountability with people who are responsible for that. And that also makes it easy for me to demonstrate the capability of the AI. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this invoice and I'm going to drag and drop it into this bold parser agent. Now I'm only doing it for the demonstration. If this agent is sitting in the background, it can, like I told you, automatically be viewing everything that comes in a certain mailbox, can take all the information and process it. But for the sake of this demo, let me drag and drop this invoice that I was showing into this. So first, actually, right now, so firstly, what I'll do is I'll just tell it that it's an invoice, which I didn't do. It can process a lot of different things from the demo perspective. So I'll say it's an invoice. I'll drag and drop it again here. So as I do that, it says, okay, I have this invoice, and I'm going to say, okay, process this document. So what it does is now is it is going to extract all of that information, and it is going to bring it in a format that is ready to be processed by me. So now I'm doing it on a single individual invoice, but you can have the same process automated for multiple invoices as well, and you will be able to see all of this data across all of those invoices as well. And this is that man in the middle piece where I am expected to see the output of this and do the reconciliation, right? So if I go in here, you can see it has now been able to parse all the information. It is telling me that the due date is 4/29. It is net 30. So it has set certain rules, the total amount, it got the quantities, it got the total. So all the information that you saw in there. But where the man in the, okay. So here you can see that I can now have the second step. The second step is that I can make any changes to this. So if I say connect to the backend system, it is going to open up all of those fields in an editable format. You can see here some of the fields on purpose we have which are blank now. The invoice date, for example. And you specify these rules for this agent as to what fields you specifically want your accounting team to be able to manually key in, or that you don't want anything to be manually keyed in. So that is one. Second thing that you can do is you can have the AI system highlight those fields where it is not 100% confident so that you only eyeball those specific fields. And I'll show you some additional examples of the agents that we have built that have those feature sets in there as well. So now that I've reviewed it, I don't have to key in all these fields again because they're already there. But if I want to change something, I could have changed here, and then I'll hit this process all data. And it is going to integrate with the backend system, and it is going to push it into your ERP system. And that is the end result that I showed you at the onset of this. So there are a lot of different ways you can parse this data, intelligence that you can add to this data. But this is just one example of on the AP side of things on how you can automate the account payable process in your organization. So that's the first one that I wanted to share with you. I used obviously the most simplest and the most common example because I'm assuming it's relevant to many of the people who joined for this webinar. But if you have any specific use cases or if you have a specific question, please feel free to ask us and I'll be more than happy to answer those. The second use case that I want to share with you guys is an agent that sits on top of your financial data. Now you can see we can have different sources. We can have NetSuite, Business Central, any CRM, any other system for that matter. And this agent can sit on that foundational layer, which we call as the semantic layer. And we'll also share a video for this agent with you. And then what you do is instead of having a team that as a CFO, you task to do certain things for you, do some analysis on the month-end close or review your collections and whatever is sitting in your AR, do some forecasting for the future, do some reporting and dashboarding. So if you have a team as a finance department where you have people who are doing those operations, this agent can help them in ways that you'll be surprised to see in a second. And then obviously it can do some actionable insights as well. You can do cash flow analysis, you can do profitability analysis, vendor performance, the ROI attribution, and you can even ask it questions about revenue anomaly. So with that, I'm going to jump into a demonstration of this agent. So let me just go right there. So this is where it is sitting. As you can see, it is AI intelligence, and I can ask it any of these questions. So these are just the tailored questions that I can ask. So I can go by show me cash flow trends. I can say which products have the best margin and so on and so forth. But because it's an agent and it's AI and it's really smart, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I am the CFO. It's good to be CFO for a day. Anyways, I'll say, tell me how my month and close looks like for the last 6 months. All right. It's an agent. It is sitting on a lot of data here. I do expect it to take around 30 seconds to 45 seconds to respond to me. So while it is doing that, I just want to share with you why I, in that CFO capacity, like it. It does not only give me the results for this, it also gives me more insights, just like my controller would do, or somebody who is helping my controller on the AR side would do, where they go beyond some of the basics and they provide me deeper trend analysis and showcase why things look the way they look. And then it also tells you what are the key focus areas for me to focus on. And when I say these things to you, that it does this and it can do this, know that it's not like a traditional software. So it's not that that's the only output that it will generate. You can ask it more questions. You can, based on its response, ask a follow-up question. And it just goes deeper and deeper into that. Just like if you have a team member who you're conversating with and asking them questions and going through all of these different analysis with them. So this is kind of what it produced for me. As you would see in here, so it starts with my cash flow. The data that I have that is sitting under this agent, it is still mid-Jan 2026 so far. And not to say we already have the connectors with all the ERP systems that I was talking about. So if we put them in place, it automatically refreshes them. It will keep your data up to date for you guys. But you can see we have like 6 months of data, and it is highlighting in here that my cash flow is really low for a January month end, which is obviously it is going to highlight in here, collapse to near break, even 5K net with cash in dropping. This is seasonality or collection in the gaps. This is just the first insight that it is providing me. Then it takes me through my revenue mix. It says nearly 100% products. Then it tells me about my AR aging. So now imagine yourself as a CFO and all of this information being brought to you by this agent. Obviously, it is a lot more productive, a lot more quicker than what you would get if you have even a large team, and a lot more detailed as well. So you see, I have these two status marks against my 90 plus days of 22.7 million sitting in my AR aging report. And then it says key takeaways for the CFO. Insights in 90 plus by AR, immediate collection review needed. January 22 net cash near zero, investigative, seasonal, or structural. Again, and it is giving you priorities as well. Revenue 100% product dependent. There's no service buffer in there. And then it automatically generates these dashboards for you as well. This is also very, it's a quick point I want to make in here. If you're an organization or you're a CFO and you have your financial data and you were asking people to build dashboards and charts on top of that, I want you to pause and think again. Because with a chart or a dashboard, you build one dashboard. With agents, you are opening up multiple dashboards that it can build for you on the fly. And the interface that you see and the responsiveness and the response is very close to what you would see with ChatGPT. So I look at all of this and you see in here, identify which customers are driving this 90 plus day overdue balances. And it is saying, would you like me to drill into the AR aging by customer? So I can either build upon this and I can do what it is asking me to do, or I can say, no, I am the CFO, I'm going to make decisions and I can do whatever. But that's what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, great, but one thing that I want to demonstrate to you is it's not only going to give me information based on the data that is available, it can also do forecasts for you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say before I dig into my collections for the 22.4 million, can you give me forecast for my revenue for the next 3 months, let's say 6 months. So I ask it for the forecast. So now my expectation is it is going to look at the historical data that I have in the system. Based on that historical data, it is going to make a projection. And you can have different models that we can put in as tools for this agent. The model that we have is called Auto ETS. It does well with seasonality, but this is again not something that would be available with say ChatGPT or any other model. They don't have access to those forecasting tools. But when we deploy it for our customers, we can use any forecasting algorithm, or we can put that as a tool so that this agent uses that. So it is going to look at that historic and it is going to do the future trend. I don't expect a lot of variability in the future trend only because of the model that I am using, which is Auto ETS. So let's go through this now. It is giving me, you can see it is a fairly static in terms of its forecast, low and high. And that is how this model is built. If I was using an ARIMA model, which I can also put in, it would give me a lot more variance on this forecast, but it is telling me what this model is telling you. So trend direction is decreasing. H2 momentum peaked in December and has been disrupted by January's collapse. So obviously it is using the last month and it is building it upon that. It has detected seasonality in my business as well, which it is using for this forecasting as well. So it has probably seen that the seasonality is driven more peaking revenue around the end of the year. So it is driving that as well. And it is then giving me my critical link back to collections again, which is like hellbound on asking me to do something about my collections. So what I'll do is I'll just finally say, tell me something about what do I do with my collections? Tell me what I can do with OpenAR. I can say OpenAR, I can say collection. It is an agent, so it doesn't matter what I say. It is really a team member that I can work with, and I can ask any questions that I would like to ask in here. So when I ask this question, I expect that it is going to probably tell me something about my collections team, not necessarily good stuff about my collections team, but obviously if I have 90 plus bucket and I have 22 million sitting in that, that's what I would expect. So I'll wait for it to just respond back to me on this now. And then we will see whatever it is recommending. Either I can take those recommendations, I can have this also connect and create some of the tasks and other things that I would like for the collections team and the other people to do. But that's not what I'm going to do for this demonstration. So in here, you can see it is giving me action 1 I can do, action 2 I can do. So again, highlighting the OpenAR summary. I understand I have 22 million sitting in 90 plus day bucket. Triage the 90 plus day bucket, 500. So now it is giving me more detail. I have 530 invoices, averaging around 42K each, segment by invoice size. So it is kind of helping me on how to communicate to my collection teams and a strategy that they can use large invoices first, then middle invoices, assess recovery, stop shipping to delinquent accounts, and all those standard things that you would do as a CFO. But what I wanted to showcase to you is already based on what you saw, it's on real live data. What I'm showing you is not scripted. I can ask it different questions. We'll share a video with you, which you will see has totally different questions. And as we deploy this, all we have to do is we have to make your data available, and then we can go into the security aspects of it. Only thing I want to leave you with is none of your data leaves your system. AlphaBolt doesn't have access to any of your data. This agent has access, but it gets deployed to you locally, and it then uses the models that are deployed either in your Azure instance, or if you have AWS and GCP, it can use those models as well. But that was the second example that I wanted to showcase. As part of this, I'll go back to my slide deck. The third one is a rather simpler one. It's just a very important but common use case of expense automation. If you guys have an expense management system, there are many that are now incorporating something like this already. So you might have some AI incorporated into that. But know that what we are presenting can be incorporated into your existing accounting system. If you have an expense management system and it doesn't have any AI components and you have to manually key in this information, it can be incorporated into that as well. And we can obviously enhance this as well. So in here, rather than showing you a live demo, I have just this video. So I'm just going to skip through this. So you can see in here, let's drag back a little bit. I'm going to, we call it bold legible. Think of it as an expense agent. It enables easy creation of expense management. So I'm going to play this in here. You can see I can upload up to 3 images, but I'm going to start with the first one, which is essentially an internet expense that I'm going to put in. So what I did here is I just uploaded this one image, which has all of my expense entries, and AI is processing my receipt. And my expectation is that it is going to generate all of the expense from it. So I have one entry, it's $39, and it just creates that. I can create this expense. Once it's done, I can submit it. It can go through an approval process. And like I already explained, either it can be an add-on to your existing expense management system, as long as your expense management system has an API, or it can replace your expense management system and work directly with your accounting system. Or if you don't have an expense management system and you're using an accounting system, it can just sit on top of your accounting system because it integrates with all of those accounting systems. And it has all the approval flows in there. Another thing I want to show is that I just showcased an example of a single invoice. But here I can show you that you can have multiple receipts. I keep on calling them invoices, multiple receipts. And then if you just upload all of them together, it combines all of those totals from multiple receipts into one. And then you can see the total in there. It has some rules in there that you can put in. If you have some medical expense bills and you have limits, upper bound, lower bound, and some configuration kind of is part of this as well. So this is just the expense piece that AlphaBold has built and is using internally as well. So if you are interested in that, we can definitely showcase and model it for you. The last demonstration I want to do for you guys is for the bank reconciliation piece. And this is where I want to spend a little bit of time because any organization that is doing taxes is also doing their finances. And obviously, every organization is supposed to do their taxes, at least in the US. And if you're doing your financials, you're doing bank reconciliation as well. Now, if you have some of the latest and greatest ERP systems like NetSuite or Business Central, there are tons of integrations with different banks so that your banking feeds are available so that you could do your bank statement reconciliation. But for the old system where you don't have those integrations, you might still be doing it manually. But even in NetSuite and Business Central or FNO, where you guys have these bank feeds available and you can look at the transactions on the right and bank feeds on the left, there's still a lot of time that goes into just validating your opening balances, reviewing transactions on both sides. You still have to put classifications. You have to still add transactions. So our thought process here is if AI could be that team that does all that for you. So you don't need human intervention, or you can reduce it significantly from the bank reconciliation perspective. And that is what I'm going to show you. So what this AI agent does is it extracts information from the bank statements, as you can see in here. It has the dates, the amounts, the descriptions. But then more importantly, it does classification. As you can see, we have GPT-4 based analysis right now. We can change this model to any other model as well. But what it can do is it can automatically detect which account is this transaction for. It can set cost codes for you within that transaction. The most important thing that issues that you guys run into, it can do duplicate detection for you. If there is a transaction that it sees already, it's already there in your system, it will mark it as a duplicate. It can do recurring TXN identification for you. It can use cost code assignments for you. And then on the right side, you see QuickBooks, but it can be any ERP system. It can be integrated with your NetSuite, Business Central, QuickBooks. As far as SMEs are concerned, if you are a large enterprise using F&O, SAP, Oracle EBS, it can integrate with those as well. And there's just a lot of nuanced AI input that it gives you. So I'm very excited about showing you how this functions. I'm going to jump into this demonstration now. Just give me one sec. Okay. So again, the demonstration version that I'm using is that man in the middle is how we refer to as in the middle of this AI. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just showcase here as if I'm uploading a bank statement, right? So as I upload a bank statement in and I process that, it is going to first piece is very simple. It's very similar to what you guys saw with that invoice use case, that you upload a bank statement, it detects all of those transactions, and then after detecting, it goes into that reconciliation stage. So I'm going to skip this a little bit because I don't want to showcase that to you one more time. But you can see I uploaded a bank statement and it is going through this process and it detects whatever is in that bank statement. So for example, I have this deposits of almost 564 or 5.6 million. I have a withdrawal of 10 million. I have this interest capitalization in here as well. I have all of this information listed up there. So this is my bank statement and it says statement is balanced. And then where the magic really happens is that I want to be able to have the system connect with my ERP system and then be able to tell me how do I go about balancing and doing reconciliation with my bank. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to connect, in this case for this demo, my QuickBooks system. So I go through that. I can select which company to load data from. And this is where it is doing a lot of its analysis. So you can see it is analyzing transaction patterns. It is going to suggest who is the payee or the vendor on different transactions that I have. It is going to analyze and give me suggestions on what is a duplicate versus what it is differently from that. So I'm going to just go back in here a little bit and show you. And this is where this is very, very strong. So remember when I was showing you that invoice automation, I told you that it can highlight some of these fields. Where it has high confidence, it can make them green. Where it has less confidence, it can make them red. So this is what you see, at least for this AI agent, that it is telling you that it found some of these transactions. So this deposit of, you can see 5.6 million, and it is saying that the account on the AI account is annuity and the pay is specific life, for example, and it has a memo field. And then it is also giving me duplicate analysis. So it is going to tell me whether it should be treated as a duplicate or not. Another thing that it does is it has this light bulb. And if I click on that, it tells me more details about this transaction. So it is saying the current transaction is a deposit with a very large amount. In the past transaction, similar large deposits, it is giving me examples but categorized under annuity. So that's the reason why this is automatically putting an annuity as an account in here. Both transactions were associated with the payee Pacific Life previously on the historical data, so it is already doing that for you. So this is what AI can add to your bank reconciliation, so you don't have to do it yourself, which can be a huge time saver for the teams that work on bank reconciliations toward month-end close or even throughout this process. Then I click on this duplicate analysis, and it is saying that it doesn't think that it is a duplicate. So 0% probability that it is a duplicate. It is telling me the dates, and it says unique deposit, no matching transaction found, no QB transaction with same amount vendor. This is a unique transaction. So it is not saying that it is a duplicate. But again, this is the man in the middle use case. I, as the reviewer, can still say mark it as a duplicate because it's already there. And when I do that, it will not integrate that. It will not balance that. And then I can go through the second one, and it allows me to be able to change. I think I just clicked on the first one again, so I'll skip this. I can mark these checkboxes in here. So for example, I'm going through the validation steps. So I can, if I hit this green checkbox, it's essentially me saying that I agree with its out-of-the-box AI-based classification. And if I don't click it, then it is going to allow me to cancel it as well as be able to look into the AI insight. And on the top, it is giving me a score or count of how it is going. So I have 3 transactions. One is ready to send because I already hit the checkbox on that, so I can send it to my accounting system. One still needs review. This is that one. And one has a duplicate alert on that. So I'll play that and see which one it is analyzing as a duplicate. So I click on that and it says accept all high confidence one. If I want to skip all of this review process, I can say if wherever you have high confidence, I feel confident that you as an AI agent are a strong agent when it comes to bank reconciliation. So I can say process all of them and it says you have accepted to high confidence field with unique transactions. They are now ready. And then I can integrate them with my ERP system. So this interface for this agent just allows me to do all of this. Now, this is again is the man in the middle AI use case where I have somebody who is eyeballing, and it depends upon how you go about implementing AI in your organization. Because as we'll talk about onboarding AI and how you bring AI into your organization, you can take different approaches, but this is the approach where we have seen maximum success and least resistance, because you're not taking the ownership away from the humans. You're just having an AI agent facilitate them and make their life easier. So this is one of the use cases that I wanted to show you for the AI bank driven reconciliation. AlphaBold has done a lot more in AI because we've been doing it for a long time. We have many, many different solutions out there. So if what I showed you is not necessarily specific to what you're looking for, know that we have use cases for the AEC space, architecture, engineering, construction, where we are extracting information from drawings. We can detect any inventory for a HVAC unit, for a switch, for a cable in a drawing, your measurements for a room. We can do on the project management side, proposal generation. On on the sales and the bidding side, we can automate those proposal documents for you. We can do customer service agents, which can take in the case ticket. They can route it. We have scripts that an agent can act as a customer service representative on your behalf. We are doing project management based resource allocation. We do vendor management based. It can analyze different vendors and give you which vendor to pick based on the parts that you're trying to order. We have some predictive maintenance use cases that are based on AI. We have data engineering and analytics being replaced by AI agents, like you saw in that Bold Suite AI agent. And then we have some custom AI solutions in there as well. So these are all the additional use cases that we have. Again, when I say we have them, it means they are demonstrable. So if you're interested, feel free to reach out to us and we can set up a follow-up meeting with you and we can show you a demonstration of these as well. So with that, I want to go into AI assessment piece. But Timur, do we have any questions so far that you want me to take?
We do actually, Tayyab. We've got a few interesting questions. Do you want to take them now?
Of course, let's do that.
Okay, perfect. So Emily here is asking, how does this handle purchase orders, especially when the quantity or total cost on the invoice differs from the PO? If it looks at the PO, does it pull the quantity originally entered or the quantity actually received?
So it does both. So we have, for example, a use case for a company that is in AEC space, a subcontractor, and they have the POs. First, it puts the POs in the system. And then because it has the PO number, if the invoice that is received against the PO, then it creates the invoice against that purchase order. And then if the inventory is a match, it can highlight that. If there's a difference in that, it can highlight that as well. If they are a complete match, it can process it entirely by itself. And if there is a mismatch, then it can automatically generate an email with a link for a person to review that on how they would like to handle that. So it can handle those use cases either through intervention from humans, or it can fully automatically handle those based on the rules that you would specify for it. But those are two different use cases in a way that we have the agent first process the POs, so the POs are set up. And then for one customer, they have such large POs that they don't put in POs in the system, but their financial need is that they have the POs in the system as well. So for some of their vendors that they trust for the invoice that is received. We generate first a PO based on that invoice, and then we just receive all the materials. And I know it's the other way around, but that's how they do it. And you receive all of the materials because they came in from the invoice, and then they generate the invoice as well. So it can handle all of those different use cases for you.
Perfect. Sounds really smart. Thanks, Tayyib. I've got a couple more for you. So Philip here is asking if this is written in JavaScript, and also can any of the mandatory fields be added in the customer systems?
Fields can be added, fields can be modified. All of that is configurable. I'll cover that in a second as to how it is written. It's the interfaces that you were seeing on the front end of it are reactors, but they can be written in anything. It's not that big of an issue. But the way AlphaBolt, we are a consulting firm. We don't sell these products. Neither do I feel that AI can be sold as a product. You might have seen that study from MIT that 95% of AI startups are failing. Well, they're failing because they are creating AI-based products. I'm a firm believer, based on my understanding and how I see the future for AI, that you have to really look at the problem and see how you bring AI into that problem to solve that problem. So what you see are just intellectual property that we have in terms of making it easier for you to get onboarded onto AI. So you bring in some of these solutions, and then you configure them to what your challenges are, what your processes are, how your data is set up. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when I talk about the AI assessments that we do. But based on those, we can determine exactly how you can incorporate AI into your processes.
Perfect.
But if you want a short answer, for Philip Temur, is that, yeah, you can add in mandatory fields in these interfaces.
Perfect. So it seems like it's really customizable, right?
Yeah, it's very configurable is what I would say, not customizable. Right. But it's customizable as well, but you don't have to customize it. Most of the time, you're just configuring it to the customer needs.
Perfect. I'll just take one more from Dennis. So Dennis here says RPA has been around for a while, which I assume means robotic process automation. So is this RPA or AI?
I didn't show you any examples of RPA. We have some examples of RPA as well, robotic process automation. Everything that I've shown you so far is AI. Sam is our practice manager. He and I have been reviewing one very good use case that we automated from the RPA perspective, where we usually use RPA where we feel that we cannot automate something end to end without RPA. So think of RPA as a process, a system process that would work for you in the back and do certain things for you that you cannot do otherwise. For example, upload a file or run a query in a database. So for example, let's say if any of the people joining this webinar, if you guys don't have some of these systems and you do stuff in Excel and you go parse one Excel and extract information, and then go to one database and extract information, and then write a query and then change something. So you're doing a bunch of 5-6 steps. Some of these, because your data is not consolidated, if you still want to be able to automate through AI, we can have AI get trained and then have a process that does those steps for you. That is what would be a better example of RPA, which we have, which we can showcase to you. But I didn't showcase to you any examples of RPA today. All I was doing was, in all of those examples, in one, I did OCR, and then in the bank reconciliation, there was OCR, and then there's a service, and then there is training, and then you have some prompt engineering for an agent. Then you had the Bold Insight agent, which has some tooling in there where it has access to some forecasting tools and it can forecast, and it has the back end engine that we have built that allows us to integrate data from ERP system and feed it into that agent. So those are different AI-based use cases that I showcased to you, but none of them had an RPA process in them.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. So I think one of the questions, I think it was Philip who asked about adding fields and changing. So I just want to highlight in here that our thought process here is we just don't want to look at AI as that magic wand that will solve all your problems. We don't think it is that. but we do believe that it is going to change the future that we will live in. I, at least in my humble capacity, don't have any doubt that by 2035, we won't have the professional world the way it is today. It will change significantly, but that is not to say that everything can be changed right now. I feel that there's a lot of skepticism around AI, which is unwarranted because there's a lot that AI can do very, very well. So let's just focus on that and let's do that stairway approach where you build upon that and eventually you'll be able to automate a lot more. So that's like me saying avoid this chat GPT trap, take it slow. And we have this approach that we follow for it. So we want you to define a clear objective for AI. What do you want to achieve from it? Make sure that you are setting expectation with your stakeholders, define learning period, and that is what man in the middle AI is what I was showing you. All the examples I showed you, one, they demo well, because if otherwise it comes across as magic, and I don't have anything to showcase to you guys, so I can show interfaces and I can show you how AI is working. But on a more serious note, that man in the middle is a good way for you to onboard AI in your organization. So if you are an organization where you have heard a lot about AI, but there's a lot of skepticism and you don't know how it would function, you don't want people to not take ownership of your processes, then just use some of the examples I showed you. We'll incorporate the process, but you will still have reviewers. So you'll be able to track who approved it, who stamped it. So you have the audit log, and you can see, and there is still the same level of um, this same level of scrutiny or same level of responsibility that people have to take because they are stamping that whatever the output is that the AI is generating for them. And you can do proof of concepts, MVPs before you deploy them, and then you go into the implementation phases. That's the general approach that we take. Usually, for companies who, there's some organizations at least out there who struggle as to where to start. They don't know if they are AI ready. They don't have the right systems or the data in place. So for them, this slide is a very good slide because the idea is that you go through the diagnostic process first, where you identify your organization's AI readiness, and we help organizations with that. When I say readiness, the most important thing is data. But I've also heard from organizations we are not ready a lot more than I would have liked because there's just a lot of low-hanging fruit with AI that you can automate, even if you're not ready while you get ready for larger use cases. So just take that with the grain of salt as well. You don't want to say no to every AI opportunity as well. Assess quality and quantity of the data and accessibility of that. And then some of the deliverables, which are really low-hanging fruit, that we produce based on this analysis is we can give you a readiness report. We can tell you what are the potential use cases that you can, which are kind of quick fixes, and what would require kind of a roadmap to be able to get there. And based on that, we can come up with actionable plan to help you with your AI journey. And any other questions you have, Taimur, for me?
I think that's all for now, Tayyip. We're getting towards the end of the time as well, so just close it out.
All right. So the only thing I want to say or leave you with is that AI is definitely here to stay. We've been doing a lot with AI for many, many years. You don't necessarily have to believe or be driven by the skepticism around AGI. I don't know when AGI is going to happen. I don't know whether it will happen or not. What I do know is that based on what is available today, there's a lot that can be achieved and there's a lot that can be automated. And if you're not doing that, then you're really missing out on it. So that's how I want you to look at AI as just another technology that allows you to do process automation and be more efficient at your job. And if you do that, you will see that you will get more time to be able to do things that can give you more in-depth understanding of the business or have a more profound impact on the outputs that you're generating for the businesses that you're working with. So that's kind of what I leave you with. If you have any questions for us, or if you were interested in any of the specific use cases that I talked about, feel free to reach out to us. We would love to have a conversation with you and see how you guys can also enable your organization to benefit from this AI journey that we are all living through right now. Over to you, Temu.
Thank you, Tayyib. That was lovely, really informative. What I really loved was this is really industry agnostic. I can't think of a single business that can run without finances. Everyone's got to pay their bills and charge their customers, invoice them. And what you've really shown us is there's some real tangible benefits right here, right now that we could achieve. We could just leave all the mundane, all the mandatory, all the manual entries and whatnot, and get to what's really important, which is reviewing and approving. So thank you, Tayyib. I think that was really useful, whether you're in finance or not. What I would say, and from what I got from Tayyib's presentation, is there's no one shoe size fits all. And like Tayyib said, we're actually a consulting company and we're not pushing any particular product here. So ideally, you've got some of the answers to your questions, but please get back to us. We can always hold one-to-one sessions to back this up. We'd really like to hear more from you guys on what you actually do and where we could actually come in and help automate your businesses. We can also get back to you via emails with some of the questions you guys ask with the responses. I've also tried to share a few takeaways in our chat box. There's a quick video link I shared on how we're using AI with NetSuite, but that's just one example. Like Tayyip said earlier, we can